Yeah.
All right, Doug.
Good morning.
Just waiting for Glyn and John to come back on. So,
We're talking about Wally Downs. Is that feud still going on between him and Warnock?
who knows?
Feud, didn't they?
We'll have to ask him. But I mean, Wally Downs, I remember his first game for United. Oh my God. It was a car crash.
Oh dear.
Keith,
Yeah.
memories might be playing me up, but I don't think he ever finished a match. You know, no, seriously, I don't think he did.
Yeah.
He'd gone past his best, obviously. And he was just vicious, wasn't he? He was just out of control.
Yeah.
But
yeah, we're just waiting for Glyn and John to come back on now, I think. So, it's, one chap, is it your friend, is it? Forgotten his name. Chris.
Keith.
Yes.
My name's Keith as well.
okay,
Oh, yes. Of course it is, yes. How could I forget?
How
Keith,
good? Yes.
welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome. And where do you live, Keith?
At Rampton, near Retford.
Hampton. Okay. You're not an inmate then?
Not quite, not yet.
Oh, yeah.
And I've been here for 45 years, so I could well be.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Good to have another Blade, Keith.
Pardon?
yeah,
Yes.
So it's
Yes.
nice for another Blade to be joining us.
Yes.
yeah, but don't tell John that.
But don't tell John.
Oh,
No.
it's Wednesday, man. I hear that on the first session, yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened.
Oh, I spot my next door neighbours as well.
Don't worry. We're back up and running. So we've got to Wimbledon. One of the questions is about Wally Downs. Him and Mr. Warnock have got a bit of a feud going on.
Yeah. I mean, I think Mr. Warnock's got quite a few don't like Mr. Warnock. I know anyone who works with him and played for him absolutely loves him. So I've never really come across him, you know. He's always been, you know, everyone loves him. So I know. I think that it was Wally. I think one of the times they come in, they always get invited into a room after you go to an office, and I think they all invited into the office at Reading. I think Wally was sat in the chair with nothing on. I'm not sure if that was truthfully that didn't go down well with him. And other little snipes. I think, you know, he's in your face and he's in the referee's face. It's a bit like in my division. The Gillingham manager Steve Taylor. He's another one. He'll try and bully the Lions and bully the referee. So in a way, you have to sort of half stand up to him, and part of your team and part of the boys. You know, you feel that way. So I think there's a bit of that along there. But you know, I think I'm no more than that. I don't know if there's any more into it. That's all he's ever said.
Yeah. Before we move on to Wimbledon and Wales, I need to ask you about Charles Green.
1 second. Yes. Sorry, 1 second. 1 second.
Yep.
So, Charles is in the room.
Sorry. Charles Green.
Yes.
Where did you get that name from?
I have my sources.
Well, it was. I mean, again, that's another. You know, you look at some point in your life, and did you make the right decision? I mentioned about Wimbledon, leaving Chelsea women as a young kid. Yeah, I think that was a bold. I'd like to have seen the other one. I'd like to have seen, you know, in hindsight, I'd have got that, but that was leaving Wimbledon when they won the FA Cup. Again, I think it probably was right. And then leaving Sheffield United when I did, I didn't have to. Bassett had gone. Howard had come in. Howard Kendall come in, and I was 33 at that. I was coming up 33. So at that time, if you was over 33, by March, you basically was a free transfer. So Bassett had gone in the January time, and then Howard come in, and the club changed. You know, they started paying unbelievable wages. They were getting people from Man City were coming in. Charles Green came in. The staff. It just went to another level. And I just remember at the time. I was in and out, wasn't playing, and I'm 33, and I'm thinking, you know, what do I want to do? Do I want to go somewhere and carry on playing, or do you want to be part of the squad as it seemed I was getting to? So I spoke to Howard, and Howard said, look, he says, I think I want to keep you. He said, you know, I've only just come in. He said, but, you know, I like what I've seen, and I like what I've seen before. He said, so I'm thinking maybe give you a new deal. So anyway, I think 2 weeks later, I didn't play. He said, leave it with me, I'll get back to you. So 2 weeks later, I knocked on his door.
Okay, 2 seconds.
That's some ringtone, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Great ringtone. That's a great ringtone.
Yeah. So where was I? So then he said, 2 weeks later, I knocked on his door, and I said, Howard, listen, about me leaving. He said, I've not decided. I said to you, give me a little bit longer. I said, well, I've decided. I said, you haven't played me. I said, I know you might give me a new deal. I said, but I want to go and play. And I'd had in between calls, in between me making them that decision, I had a call from Leeds saying Leeds would sign me. If you can get yourself a free, you can get to Leeds. So I was going, I'm sure probably following TC's footsteps, and going to Sheffield United where I weren't playing. Leeds said come and sign, come to us. Anyway, so I then had a problem. Not leaving Sheffield United. I said, look, but the date wasn't right, so I wasn't quite hit the end of that March date where I would get a free. Wasn't. So I just said, look, I need it right, and you're not going to get any money from me. I'm going to be a free. He said, you got my word. I just said, well, I don't know you from Adam. All right, yeah, I know your reputation, but I don't know if your word's good enough. I thought if I go to Leeds, they find out and go to Leeds, they might go, well, actually, we want some money. You know, they probably wouldn't have took kindly to that. So I didn't say that. Anyway, he said, no, you got it. Go and see Charles. Anyway, when I went and see Charles Green, and then it wasn't the greatest meeting. Again, another sort of half bully boy in there. But you know, I got what I wanted. So then I made the couple of calls via an agent, and then I got the news that Howard Wilkinson was in charge, and he was not allowed to sign anyone else, and he was actually in trouble himself for his job, and he lost his job soon after. So I've instigated a move out of Sheffield United where I could have got a contract, or albeit a squad player, but the financial packages had gone doubled and trebled what they were paying us before. So then I've now got a piece of paper that said I can leave, but I've got nowhere to go. So it wasn't great. Anyway, Jim Smith at Derby said he'd take me. So I take 10 of the season, we get promoted. They're in the Championship, we get promoted, you can have another deal. He said, I'll give you another year. So anyway, then we were talking about the money, and I said to Jim that I wanted a bit more. So I come back to a midweek game at Sheffield United, and again, he's there. He said to me, come and Charles Green says, I need to see you. I says, yeah, all right. He said, what's happening? I said, well, I'm not happy. It's not enough. So he looked at me and he said, well, I'll pay you. I'll pay all your contract up then. I'll pay your contract up to go. So I'm thinking it wasn't enough. Derby weren't paying. I was going to walk out with nothing. So I'm quite happy to walk away. And all of a sudden, Charles Green decides to pay me all my contract up. But there was a loyalty bonus, I think it was. He said, I'll give it you. I went, oh, yeah, go on then. I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. So I got money I didn't expect to go to. Sheffield United paid me to leave. And then I went to Jim Smith and got a little bit more money there. So it worked out all right. But a couple of meetings with Charles Green, and I think one escalated into offering me to come and fight him in a car park, which didn't happen. And it was like I'm sitting there thinking, why are you in charge of such a great club and you're someone telling players you want to come out in the car park more, you know? And it wasn't a good end to it. But again, if I hadn't had the call that you could possibly go and play for, go to Leeds from Sheffield United, as a number of players had. Which I quite fancied. I might have stayed a little bit longer, but again, it's just one of them things. Moved on, went to Derby, and they promised me a year if they got up, and I didn't get the year. In fact, I got a phone call from the assistant saying he won't be renewing your contract. So then I was basically what I was trying to avoid at Sheffield United in that March was when you become end of the season, like the end of this season or now, there's like hundreds and hundreds of footballers on the list of 500. If I can get away in March where there's not so much, I'll get fixed up now for probably 18 months, hopefully longer. Then I was exactly on the, not on a scrap heap as it were, but exactly in the place where I didn't really want to be, with hundreds and hundreds of footballers all looking for the same jobs.
Yeah, okay. Also, whilst you were at Bramall Lane, another interesting character that you played with, Billy Whitehurst. Any stories about Billy?
No, well, all I say about Bill was he trained exactly how you played. He didn't hold back. So, you know, sometimes you think on a Friday it's a bit low key because you've got a big game the next day. We'd be doing set pieces and then he'd go in and he'd be crashing heads with the centre halves, he'd be armed. And my first training session, if I've got a dead leg, he come and done me. I got a dead leg, I'm limping him out, looking around thinking, what's going on here? What's happening? But that was him, you know, he was whole-hearted. You know, he intimidated people. He was good at the time. He was funny on the pitch. He was funny on the pitch because it's funny because when he played against Bill, we did it. When we was at Wimbledon, we played Hull. Billy was at Hull, and it was please don't upset Bill, like waking a giant. Don't upset Bill. Just be nice to him. Pick him up. Don't kick him. Right, Bill has a wife and family, has the kids. You know, try and humour him a little bit. You know, we had a little midfield player called Stevie Galliers. First minute, Stevie Galliers just topped him. So now he's woken the beast up. Now he was, and Mick called him Midget, this little Midget, what'd you do that for? So Bill then was going around systematically trying to kick everybody. So, and when you played with him on your side, it was even funnier because you could see everyone was doing the same thing. Everyone was trying to butter him up and trying to, in fact, I think it was John McClelland in a reserve game. Or was it a reserve game? We were in a tunnel waiting to come out. And John's come up to him because I played with John. He was a nice guy, but again, coming at the end of his career, and probably he did in a reserve game. Probably didn't want to play against Billy Whitehurst, who would be playing exactly how he would in the first team. And he come up and said, "How you doing, Bill?" He said, "Yeah, how are you?" And they talking, and Bill said, "Have you got your gum shield?" He went, "What?" He said, "If you ain't got it, I'll go and get it. You're going to need it today." So that's Bill's reaction to him. And I'm on his side, so I'm laughing. I'm loving it. But I wouldn't have liked to have been John McClelland. But he was, you know, he was an hard man, but fair, and lived hard, played hard, and he's, you know, again another one who had a good career. He played for some great clubs, and he was effective. And at the time when you know when you're down the bottom and like maybe we weren't called bully boys, but we could look after ourselves. And if you could, yeah, we could play. You mix it. You could mix it. You just had a big melting pot where you know you had to have every tool to be able to get 3 points, and you know he was good.
Yeah, I understand. Billy also had a discussion with Charles Green as well.
Who?
Billy had a discussion with.
Yeah,
Charles
go on.
Green.
I think everyone has it. Go on, but Charles Green surely.
Something to do with hanging him on the coat pegs.
Well, I know Brian Clough did that to Mark Crossley. I know he did that to him, but I've never heard that one with Charles Green.
All right.
Brian Clough picked up Mark Crossley and put him on the clothes peg, and he was dangling there. But I think you know, when you come against Charles Green, I think there was a few that I think he upset. I think that's what he does, and he upsets people. And there's no need to it. There's no need. He's just get things done, be professional. You know, you're moving on. You know, make it as easy as possible. Sometimes you're forced to go. Sometimes you don't want to go. But yeah, I've not heard that one with Billy, but nothing surprises me with Charles Green.
Yeah. When you were at United with Dave Bassett, was you involved when they went on a flight somewhere, and Billy decided to do?
No, I just come after.
Right.
That was when they were. They I think they couldn't all fly together. So they had flights from Birmingham, flights from East Midlands, flights from Manchester, even Stansted. So they were like, I think they just got on where they could. And I think the Bill's mob, I think from Birmingham, I think it was, I heard the story when he got on, and how he had some marker pen, and in the bulkhead of the plane, he starts drawing players and making runs and tactics on the board. I think that was the story, and they got kicked off and put it and got a later flight. So I wasn't there then, but you did hear about it.
Yeah, I mean, I've met Dave Bassett couple of times and found him to be a charming man, and his wife, very nice. But I bet he could be a different character at times in the
Yeah, well,
dressing.
he was good. He was good at the fact that he wanted the boys. He knew the boy. He'd been from non-league with Wimbledon, and before that, Walton Hersham and England Amateurs, and that was built on team spirit and built on lads getting on and built on a camaraderie. And he got that at Wimbledon. He instigated it. He forced the issue. He would, and even at Sheffield United, he'd come to me and he'd say, "What do you reckon?" I said, "Yeah, we need a night out, Harry. Come on in, get all the boys out, and we go and have a night out, whatever, mate." But there'd be things that he'd set things up. He'd set things up to make sure that the boys got on. But he played hard. So he worked just really hard. But you also got you got your rewards. You got your night out. He understood that it was important. The social part aspect was important. Although it got more serious as it went on. But he loved the fact that he loved the fact that the bond and the boys were together. He loved that, and he loved instigating that. In fact, his early days at Wimbledon, we'd be on the coach, and then you knew probably about an hour into the journey, he'd come up and sit up the back, and he'd bring his beers up and whatever beer, and he'd sit round and he'd be up there for an hour and a half talking and telling our stories and getting everyone at it. So I think he's the only manager I've ever known to actually do that. No other managers always sit down the front, but he played with a lot of us, and he just wanted to get a feel for it and get everyone together and at it. So he had an instinct for that. He had an instinct for that, and he was really, really good.
Sorry, Glenn.
Yes.
It's Chris. I met Dave Bassett at the club's 125th anniversary dinner. It's the only time I've really ever spoken to him.
So he won the manager of the year, manager of all time, didn't he?
Greatest manager of United at that time, yes. Yeah. And he was genuinely overcome because he'd been appreciated. I don't think at Wimbledon he got any sort of, well, he got criticised, didn't he, more than anything.
I think Wimbledon was different. Wimbledon was, we'll be careful now really, but Wimbledon was Ron Nodes was the chairman, and Ron Nodes left to go to Crystal Palace and left Sam Hammam, who went to Cardiff. Sam Hammam then wanted the glory. I think Harry never got fully appreciated the job he did, especially from Sam. I think and again, it's nice when you come up to Sheffield United and you see the fan base. You see, I think the further north you go, for me, the more the different the enthusiasm levels go different. They get more and more it rolls around football, whereas down south there's probably not as much as that. But as soon as you got to someone like Sheffield United, when you're playing in front of 25,000 and they love their football, then I think I did as well. It's my best time. I probably played my best football at Wimbledon coming through, but Sheffield United I was quite a big cog in it. I was quite an important player, and I did it, and it was nice to play in front of that and be appreciated. So you do get that affinity, and you do like it, and that's why a lot of us all stayed up, and every chance we come back to Sheffield United, we do. It's a real fond memories of the place.
Yeah, just going back to that 125 years dinner, what made me smile is Neil Warnock flew up specially to get to the dinner quite late, but his face didn't look very happy when Bassett was announced as United's greatest ever manager.
Well, I think they're fortunate. Before, obviously, there's been managers before my time, and you all go back and know the history. But to have what they did with the Premier League in this era, both of them, it was a tough call between either. I know my money would be on obviously Dave, but no one who speaks his work with Neil would be the same. And I think Dave got him up on the stage. He realised, didn't he? And he got him up like that. There. And he got him up and appreciated and understood. And I think Neil will probably do the same. So there's a mutual respect and a respect for Warnock with the job he did. And he's doing it now with Middlesbrough again. So he's a glutton for punishment. He loves it. He can't let it go. Even he's 70 years old, he's still doing it. Whatever age.
I know. Barmy. Right, if we can move on to Wales.
Yes.
Stories regarding Wales. How did it come about in the first place?
Well, so my dad's from Swansea, and he moved up to London. We had a family. The Swansea mob moved up, and we had a fish shop, a fishmongers in Billingsgate. In Brixton Market. We do Billingsgate, and my nan is the same Brixton Market. My nan had my Welsh nan had a calf, So we spent a lot of our lives were around Brixton. In fact, I used to work in the shop as well. So we got to a point where I was under 18. I was in the side. So I was 17 years old, and we played Wrexham in the FA Cup right at the start. I think it was right in the early 80s. We played Wrexham away, and Mike England was the Welsh manager, and I was playing. And when there's a thing comes around the clubs, you got any anyone with Welsh heritage or Welsh pop. So you tick the box. Yeah, my dad's Welsh. That's okay. So then they had an under 18s had a 40 player training camp to play the Republic of Ireland. Now these 40 players, they'd whittle it down to 16, play the qualifier. If they qualified, then the under 18 Euros was in Germany in 1981. Summer of 81. I was actually playing in Finland at the time. So anyway, I took it home, and I think I'm going to go to this. And Dario came round, Dario Gradi came round, my dad come round, my nan was living with us there who had the cap, and they're going to me, don't do it, don't play. Then now you can, people now can play national teams and still change unless you're qualified. Then if I'd have chose at under 18, I was going to play for Wales or England, I could never have gone and played the other one. So it was a decision that you couldn't break now. I think Declan Rice played for Ireland, didn't he, internationally? But now he still plays for England. So them rules weren't in place. So I declined the offer, and I was a bit disappointed. My nan was disappointed because she was all over it, and I just thought, I'll decline it. Anyway, they qualified. They beat Ireland, and they qualified for the Euros in the summer of 81. And in the group was Germany, Belgium, and Greece, and the squad's gone from 40 to 16. So I'm part of the 16-man squad. In this 16-man squad, only 2 players were playing for their teams, were playing in the league. That was me at Wimbledon and a lad called Dudley Lewis at Swansea. We're the only 2 that were playing. Got the letter, brought it home, showed my mum, Dario come, showed me dad, Dario came round, and they go, no, don't go. And I looked at them, and they both said, don't go. And that's it. I said, I'm going. They said, what do you mean? I said, how can I turn that down? I said, what, you mean? I said, why? And they said, well, because they said, you might potentially end up playing for England. Well, then John Cartwright was coach of England under 18s, and they were going. And he spoke to me. He said, look, what do you think of Glyn? And he just said, look, he ain't gonna get in at this time. We got this, we got that. And I was at unprofessional Wimbledon in the 4th division, so I was never going to get in the English squad at that time. And then he said, so tell him good luck. And then they come back, and I just said, look, you're right, what you're saying, I hear you, but I'm going. Another headstrong decision, probably similar to leaving Wimbledon, Chelsea to go to Wimbledon, but these things happen. I just thought, I'm going to go. Anyway, I went and played in 3 games, got beat live on the telly with Germany, got beat 5-0 at Schalke. I'm left midfield, Mark Hughes is right midfield. Then we played Belgium, 1-3-0, I scored. I beat Greece, 1-1-0, I scored again. So we've ended up winning 2, getting beat by the then champions, and scoring 2 goals and thinking, what a decision this is. Mark Hughes was playing. Mark Bowen, who's now the manager of Reading, who worked with us together at Man City, Fulham, Blackburn, he was there. Dave Phillips. So it was a good side. Anyway, from that was in 81, 82. Straight away, I'm in the 21. You naturally the resources didn't have that many players. So again, it was that Wimbledon type pathway as opposed to Chelsea. I was leapfrogging into the 21s. 21s in 82. And then, and again, played for the 21s and 5 games there. That was brilliant. You followed the team around. You don't do that now, but we play Bulgaria away. We play them in the afternoon. The first thing we play them in the evening. Then we travel. Then wherever we go, we went to Yugoslavia. It was Norway, Denmark. It was fantastic. And then so that was at 81. In 84, I got my full cap at 21. So from 81 when you're 17, 18, 3 years later, I got my full cap. So I think that's another quite a good decision that I'm pleased that I did it. It really, really helped me, helped being an international footballer is everything for me and the teams we played and the players I played with. And also the relationship I've got a sort with Mark Hughes and Mark Bowen. Off the back of me playing for Wales, I've ended up working with Mark for about 10 or 12 years at 4 or 5 Premier League clubs off the back of that. So it held me in good stead. And although I'm got the Welsh accent, I'm a very proud Welshman.
Of course, yeah.
But Glyn, congratulations on being the first Wimbledon player to be an international footballer.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you. That's That was good. I mean, that Nigel Winterburn got in the 21, so we got recognition for that. But again, that was brilliant for me at that age. Again, I think we weren't quite. I weren't in the second division. I might be in the third division. So get capped in the third division, which tells you the pool of players probably wasn't that great. But I was in the squad. I was in the actual squad for the last ever home championships. We were played. I was sub for Northern Ireland at home at the Vetchfield. And then we just beat England. I think 1-0. Mark Hughes scored an overhead volley. We beat England at Wrexham, and the following year, I was due to play at Wembley with England, Scotland. I'll be in, and they knocked it on the head. So I got in the last one. I got in the last one against Northern Ireland, but they knocked their own championships in there, which was a shame. But it was a good decision, and yeah, enjoyed the time. But when you're first in the squad with Mickey Thomas, I run with Joey Jones. There was some Di Davis, Jeremy Charles. There was some Brian Flynn was still playing. There was some real big players there. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, and then Vinny became a Welsh international. I mean, that was a shock to the international.
I think Vinny had been over. Vinny had been over to Ireland looking for his. If he had any family in Ireland, been everywhere to see if he could try and qualify there. Because I don't know if you know that Tony Cascarino has played 90 odd times for Ireland. Has got no Irish heritage in him at all. It was a complete mistake. So so he was over in Ireland, and then I think obviously I don't know if Jones gave it away, or he thought I'll have a look at the Welsh side of the family, and then you qualify. So again, I think with Scotland, Ireland, and Wales, if you get you've got to try and get these players that are half and half, or as we've been brought. Eric Young was born in Singapore, come back, he had a British passport, bang, he played for Wales. So you've got to try and be a bit sharp ahead of the game to try and get these players that are dual nationality. And they did that for a time. So yeah, Vinny, the Welsh speaking boys of Glyndŵr weren't happy that there was a lot of English in the team. So we weren't singing the national anthem. So they sent the national anthem through phonetically, and we had a big music in Vinny's room, and we had to learn it. I remember we sat there hours and hours learning it. You knew the camera is going to be on you for the national anthem. So you got the first couple of lines all right, and then you had to turn your head away because you might forget the next couple of lines. But he's proud to do it. He's proud to. I was proud to represent them.
Yeah. So obviously, once your career on the pitch ended, you've finished up managing back at your roots, really, at Wimbledon.
Yeah. Well, again, as you've got for the start of the coaching, you come. It's funny. You come to. You think the coaching. You think your playing career is never going to end. And I ended up having 2 stints after Derby. I had 2 stints in Hong Kong, and in between that, played for Hull and played for Forest. But you come back. I was 36 years old, and I could have probably gone and played non-league. I could have probably gone and picked up some money somewhere. But again, it's a decision. You think, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I took one of my coaching badges at a young age, the prelim as it was, and so I'm thinking I'm going to start. So Dave Bassett was manager of Barnsley, so I was doing my A licence, and he had to do so many hours. I'd go in and coach the reserves and coach the kids to get my hours to get the qualification, and he said, come and do some scouting for me. So for me to do that means I had to free every Saturday, every midweek game up. So I couldn't actually play still. Well, I was gutted, but I knew, that you're only putting off the inevitable. You're going to have to stop playing. You're going to have to come and enter the real world or get a job. So I decided to do the scouting and do the coaching. And scouted a couple of times. Used to do the match reports room and go in on a Friday and go through it with the staff and how they play. And it was really, really good. And then there was a job came up. Me and Jeff Thomas, Crystal Palace. We both did the reserves together, joint managers, and that was good because I've known Jeff for a long, long time. So we did that, and then I ended up being there 3 years. At the Dave Bassett gave me the job. I ended up being there 3 years. Are you okay with that? Can you hear that racket, or is it all right? Not too bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that okay, or should I tell
I don't know how to do it.
Yeah, is that all right.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, Dave Bassett left. And Nigel Spackman got the job, and I was still doing the reserves and the first team. And then then Steve Parkin came in, and I was caretaker after Nigel Spackman went in. Then Steve Parkin went, and I got to Barnsley. I got the job for 10 months. It was a tough 10 months. I was in administration. I had no assistant manager. I had no coach. We had no money. I couldn't play certain players because of the transfer fees were impending. They weren't paying loyalty bonus. They weren't paying relocation. So it was an absolute nightmare.
I'll try.
Again, just ask him to give us 5 minutes. I was there, man. I'm sorry. I thought it was a fellow on the roof doing me work on the roof just outside there. Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, 3 years at Barnsley, and the administration was horrendous, and we was in a relegation fight, League One, to go down, and they said to me, I said, I need an assistant. And
it's all right. What's your email address?
You need to mute that, Keith.
Yeah, I'm sorry. John's trying to get back in, and he's got problems, so I'm trying to get him back in. But
2 minutes left.
I'm struggling now.
You've only got 2 minutes, Keith.
Okay,
Keep going, Keith.
all right. There's only 2 minutes left,
Keep going.
apparently. All right.
What, on this one? 2 minutes on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going, Ian.
Very quickly on the Barnsley one. So he said, I need an assistant manager. They said, you've got £200 a week to go and get an assistant manager. And I went, am I going to get an assistant manager too? He said, go on and get someone off the dole. Anyway, I ended up getting the youth team manager who'd been there 20 years to be my number 2. First ever game, he's come up to me. I'd like to thank you. I've never been in the first team dressing room before. This is great. And he's my number 2. I'm thinking, Jesus, I'm on my own there. That was horrendous. Got to the training ground once. Bradford were using the training ground because the chairman was mates with the manager, Nicky Law. So I said they can't use it while we're here. And he said, well, you let them know when they can use it. I said, what are we getting for this? They said, nothing. I said, well, we've got a fella called Isaiah Rankin. We paid some money for him off of Bradford, and we can't play him because we've got to pay 50 grand on the transfer fee. And because we've upped up the number, get 5 more games. If they use a training ground, get 5 more games on this kid. So they got 5 more games. So we've now got 2 games left. One's at home to Brentford, which is my 40th birthday. Wally Downs is the manager of Brentford. The last game was Wigan away. Paul Jewell, they won it by 20 points. So now I've got Isaiah Rankin. Because I've negotiated extra games, Isaiah Rankin can now play. We had to win 1 game to stay up. And my 40th birthday, I'd organised a party. The family were coming up. I'd have it, and I didn't realise. And I said to my wife, I said, if we lose today, I'm not coming to the party. I said, I can't come to the party. I'll get my presents and I'll clear off. Anyway, it turns out Isaiah Rankin scored the winning goal in the 95th minute. We won 1-0 and had the best party ever. What a 40th birthday.
Wow. All right. Right, Glyn. Yeah, Glyn, we've less than a minute to go. So can I thank you for fantastic presentation? Brilliant.
Thanks,